players playing so incredibly well. Bomber looking great in game 1 with that sick macro, but Polt having incredible micro in game number 2, Robin.
Very true, and we're actually moving into Daybreak on game number 3. We actually had this match for Polt when he was playing against Innovation, actually in the GSL round of 16, and he actually lost. He went for a 1-1-1 style, and Innovation actually did a Banshee and a Hellion drop to kill him off. But here we go, Polt getting ready for the game.
Guys, this is IPL 5. I'm Kibbles. With me is Robin. It is time for Polt versus Bomber, game 3.
Guys, welcome to game number 3 for IPL 5. We're going to be having our players in the very far top right corner. StarTale's very own. It is going to be... I need to get this down, man.
Yeah. StarTale Bomber.
Bomber falling down 1-1 to his opponent. Very far bottom left corner. Daybreak, it's going to be your blue Terran player from TSL, the only non-Zerg. Here he is. It's going to be...
TSL Polt.
I got that one down. See, now I'm hearing the cheering from Polt, man.
Yeah, it's so loud, man. You can just hear it up here. It's ridiculous. Polt, man, what is he going to do this game? Like I mentioned, we saw him in the round of 16. He actually lost that game, but he did go for the 1-1-1 style, of course, into Factory and to Starport. That's just kind of the standard meta game on this map, and I'm really expecting it from our players. Already, the first rack has been down. It wasn't a gas first, though, so it will have delayed tech. So we're just going to go ahead and wait and see what they're going to do.
Oh, man. You know what? In some ways, I expected this out of Bomber, and I think Polt may have too. I mean, is Polt gonna, it looks like he's just gonna go for 1-Rax expand. Bomber's actually gonna go CC first.
Wow.
And
pretty gutsy.
I mean, well, Bomber won that game on Entomb Valley because of macro.
It's true.
He just had too many bases for Polt. And, you know, Polt made that fantastic switch into air units. And, I mean, Bomber lost a lot of siege tanks from it, but he just had so much money it didn't matter. And what a better map to pick than Daybreak if you're finding that your macro is that much stronger than your opponent.
Very true. Mech's a little bit harder to pull off on this map just because it's a bit of a long rush distance, but it's still very powerful if pulled off correctly. It just, you need to be really on top of paying attention of your surroundings. Having those Onagas is also very important as well, but nonetheless, you are correct. We're having Command Center first, followed up into Rax Gas for Bomber, and checking down into Polt. He finally goes into his 1-Rax expand. So he'll be a little bit behind, but nothing too crazy in terms of economy for our players being a little bit off. It'd be a 1 to 2 SUV difference.
Yeah, and it seems like Bomber has a good feel for what Polt's going to go for. I mean, he's just opened up into 1 gas, so could go for really quick stim here. You know, it's Daybreak, so I feel like that's a pretty good option. Go for stim, drop down your second refinery kind of when stim's getting ready to start, and then you can move up to Starport and work on some medevacs and go out for a drop. Alternatively, he could be going for some sort of Hellion play. We'll have to wait and see, but both these players definitely gearing up for a macro-oriented game. But Robin, if there's anything that we've noticed between these two, it's that a macro game is not sit back and get to 200 supply.
Yeah. It's a lot of itty-bitty timing attacks here and there while still macroing up at home, just being up there in terms of AP and being just essentially pros, Codes level Terran players. I mean, these guys have been fantastic for a year and a half, 2 years. And looking in the top right corner, are we going to be having a factory from Bomber very soon? I'm interested to see if he goes for Banshee. Game 1, Game 2, he has been doing so. And this map's actually really good with Banshee. You have a lot of air control in the back of the main and the natural, a lot of bouncing back and forth available to you. So with it moving into a second gas, that is certainly a strong possibility. And even though we've always said, hey, at first his Banshee's not doing so well, he's always followed up with great control, forced a lot of scans, still came in and did a lot of damage, and kept that Banshee very low on HP, but still very effective. And look at these stats, 51% for Bomber, 49% for Polt. That is blackjack odds, man. That's really, really good.
So appropriate being in the casino. But really here, I mean, this says a lot, man, because this is not, you know, this is not like who I want to win. This is like, I want an Origin PC, so this is who I expect to win.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually, there was a lot of points with that contest. They were up in like the 8,000s last I saw, anywho. But nonetheless, looking in the natural, of course, everything's really starting to turn out for our players, and we have the Starport on the way. We actually have a reactor on this Rex. Now, I'm kind of curious if he's going to put that factory on top of that reactor and pop out 4 Hellions and potentially go for the Banshee into, of course, a medevac drop like we saw earlier from Innovation a couple of weeks ago. It's actually become very strong. We've seen a lot of Terran players start to use it, and it really just allows you to put a lot of aggression on your opponent, and it catches them off guard still, because a lot of players go straight for a Viking right away, and they send it to your opponent's base to deal with Banshees. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we will. Ooh, lands the factory a little bit off. Bomber maybe going a little bit too fast there.
That Red Bull, man, has got him a little bit jittery. Well,
29 to 28 workers, those were still neck and neck right now.
Looking down into Polt, of course, he's moved into, well, Bio, man. It's been working out for him. He really seems to enjoy going this route. Yeah. And we actually have the reactor or the tech lab finishing up on top of the factory, so potentially we'll move into his own Banshee. We'll see if that Starport's about to finish up. He's moving into quicker siege tanks the last couple of games, but I wouldn't mind to see him go Banshee this game. He hasn't been doing the first two, and it might throw Bomber off guard. Yeah,
what this is probably going to be, Bomber comes in with the Banshee into the main base, pulls the Marines back into the main base, then runs in with the Hellions into the natural expansion to pick off some SCVs. And if we take a look in the natural expansion, we see, actually of, if we look into the natural Polt, he's got a lot of SCVs here, okay. So these Hellions are going to have a lot of potential to do some serious damage, but a bunker is going down. There could be some units in the bunker. We'll have to wait and see. But this is definitely a little dangerous.
Polt's got a nice spread here of his Marines. He has them on the top left and the top right. It's going to be a little bit hard for a Hellion to pop up that ramp. It's going to take a lot of damage, so that's actually pretty scary. I would actually allow for the Banshee to go in first, get an idea of where the Marines are at, and then maneuver my Hellion afterwards. And we actually have Bomber moving for a Raven as a follow-up, so he really seems to be enjoying this Raven play. Again, it's just becoming the metagame for Terran. I mean, you want to be able to deal with Banshees. It's a little bit more of an expensive investment, but again, it's great in terms of defense. And the Banshee does move forward. Will be popping in the natural. Will the Marines see it?
Oh.
Yes.
All right, so interesting that Bomber's not going into the main. It looks like his Hellions are actually at home, so maybe he's just going into mech? Yep, he is going into mech.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah, so it's looking like he wants to play the mech play he had from game number 1, the third factory on the way as well. And it looks like the Vikings going to try and deal with the Hellion, and the Hellion is first to scurry away, and the Banshee's actually pulling back to the natural. So it looks like Bomber's content with just sitting back for a while, just macroing up like he did in game number 1. Just try and get a nice little money scan in the next minute or so, get an idea of what exactly Polt has been going for. We have a third command center actually already on the way.
So Bomber going for mech on Daybreak. So it's not as easy as in Tomb Valley to hold your third, for instance. You can't be as greedy in taking your expansions, whereas like on Tomb Valley, he actually was having more bases almost the entire game than Polt did. He never really fell behind. He was always on par. But now we're going to see Polt go for a really fast third, and Bomber can't really reciprocate that because it's Daybreak. And you can actually just die if you split your mech up too much.
Hellion's going to come in and actually see this small medevac that could potentially happen. Oh, nope. The Marines didn't deny that vision. I don't think he actually saw that medevac. And the medevac / few Marines are heading down to the bottom right. They're going to be moving towards that third. Want to kind of pop into the natural and maybe get some SCV snipes if he can load up into the natural. And there's actually, is there an engineering up quite yet for Bomber? No, it doesn't look like he is ready for any type of drop play that could be happening. We'll see if he can get there in time with his Hellions to defend against it.
And Blue Flame is about to complete for those Hellions. Polt. One of the things I really like right now that actually Bomber has, Polt's not going to be able to do any drops up into the main base of Bomber. He's got his racks floating over to the top left, and it's in a great position. It's not like slightly to the top left, it's like way out there. So he's actually going to have a huge warning if any medevacs come in, but love this out of Polt, starting the refineries up before the CC even arrives.
Notice there's a Viking down at the third as well. He decided, well, you know what? Bomber's not being aggressive against me. He pulled his Banshee back. I'll use that Viking for a little bit more. It's going to be a scout and see when that command center comes down. And at that point, he actually may send a couple Marines down, try and deter the units from Bomber's natural, and then head straight into the natural. But nonetheless, actually, it looks like Bomber's moving out to grab that Zelnaga and finds his opponent. 2 Vikings and a Banshee are going to chase this away. We're going to have Polt go and land his Marines here, and that will actually force Bomber to pull back. A little bit of micro going on from both players here, as we're actually going to have maybe a potentially attack going to the third, because he wants to establish his third while he's putting pressure on Polt. I like this play.
Well, so far we haven't had any casualties, and that's courtesy. You know, a lot of people hate destructible rocks, but those Marines really liked it. The Hellions weren't able to chase.
Certainly did help
so,
out.
I mean, there's been almost nothing killed this game. Maybe we're, okay, a Marine dies. But it's been really not too action-packed. Hellions coming forward, taking some shells from the siege tanks right now. Marine's going to be retreating back up to the tanks. But it's interesting here. Bomber's actually pushing with 140 supply of mech versus a 112 Polt, really realizing that Polt went for this fast third.
Yeah, he's actually heading in economy now as well, 59. So if Polt can just hold off here for a little bit, he's going to be feeling a little bit better in terms of position going into the mid/late game. And it looks like the Bomber's moving forward here. He does have, of course, that air superiority with having that Banshee and Viking / Raven available. He's actually able to siege up with the Natural, doing a nice amount of damage. The Banshee poking off a siege tank. A second one taking some damage as well. Nice micro here from Bomber. The Marines trying to deal with it, but it looks like they will force the retreat, but not before 2 siege tanks do fall.
Robin, this positioning out of Bomber is phenomenal. The tanks on the low ground covering for the Banshee. There are not enough Vikings. Even if there were, Bomber has his own Vikings and a Raven as well. He's able to pick off 2 siege tanks there. Phenomenal opening out of Bomber. Got himself up 25 supply now.
Wow, as Bomber actually moves to the third, Polt gets a nice money scan, and we'll be able to reposition his units, but will he do it in time? There is a supply depot wall. I actually like the gapping here as well. It makes it a little bit harder for the Hellions to move into the natural. But it makes it where his Marines can chase and get a good advantage. It looks like he's going to kill off the supply depots right away. The Raven's spotting here, and he's forcing the command center to actually lift up and move down to the natural. And we're going to have Polt come in. He is currently supply blocked. 5, 6 supply depots died there.
Yep.
And Polt's going to be hurting for a little bit here. He's got 5 supply depots on the way, but he's been supply blocked for about another 15 seconds.
And he doesn't have his third. He doesn't have his third mining anymore. All right, here's an engagement. Polt gonna push down the map, doing what he can against these Hellions. A lot of siege tanks though. Polt needs to break out of this. He has to secure this third. If he needs to go for a big drop play, there's a response here, and it needs to be made because Polt cannot allow a mech player to sit on 3 bases while he's with Bio on 2.
Oh man, it looks like from here, Bomber's just going to go ahead and contain him, not allow him to get that third up, and at this point, he should be lifting his third up and moving down to his third and getting it established right away so he can start booming an economy, but it looks like he's content with just building a few SCVs out of it, and just really focusing on this engagement, because he's doing pretty well. As they go ahead and engage once again, siege tanks do siege up, will they get a shot off? No, just barely missing out. The Banshee here, low on HP, leading the charge for these Vikings and Ravens.
Well, history may be holding true here. We were saying Polt drops a set, he drops the match, and things are looking pretty rough right now for him. It looks like he's going to go for a very large drop, guys. If Polt can make some damage happen with this, he may be able to get a comeback into this series.
Well, there are a nice amount of siege tanks and a few Hellions available for Bomber. Will he see it in time? He does have a lone Marine down in the bottom right corner, but normally the dropshot's not going to go in that area, so potentially he could miss it. Looks like Bomber is still going to go ahead and float around between the third and natural, still sees that's not up. Now, something to note for Polt, he has got concussive shells. It's going to make it easier for him to engage on these Hellions.
He sees the Medivacs Robin, and Bomber noticed he's going home with all of his Hellions to respond to this, and suddenly Polt is looking from a dire position to a very, 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 very bad one.
I like Bomber pulling back at siege tanks as well. Remember in game number 1, he left them and they got picked apart. This time that will not be happening, and here we go, going to go and engage on the Marines and Marauders, but the siege tanks are already sieged up. Bomber's not going to let anything give here, and he holds just fine while establishing his third in the front of the map here.
Hellions coming down the ramp. That damage just doing so much, cleaning up the army here. Polt down to 140 supply once again. Now he is reestablishing his third. It looks like Bomber did decide to bring his army home, not having that Hellion support, which I think was a great decision. Polt actually was looking like he was ready to gear up for an attack on those lonely siege tanks.
Man, 4 Medivacs killed off as well. Effectively, we just had Polt lose half his army, and he's suddenly in a huge deficit, 180 to 144, and still trying to bump out units. He's going to have, I think he has 2-1 right now, going to have 2-2 very soon, compared to Bomber's 1-0. But again, positioning is really what it comes down to. Like, you don't really need the upgrade advantage, especially if you have more units, and of course, you just have the siege mode set up. You're going to win a majority of engagements. Now, it looks like Bomber's going to go ahead and coming from this top left corner. Marine does scalp that, so nice job from Polt catching his opponent. He's going to go ahead and scan and see where he's going. He's going straight for the third. Hellions running straight on in, and these SCVs are in trouble. Luckily, there's only about 10 to 12 there, but that's still something that he can't afford to lose, and it looks like the Marauders are coming from the back, though, and taking out siege tanks right away from Polt.
Oh, Polt's doing an engagement here as well as he possibly could hope for, taking out siege tanks that are all by themselves, doing a lot of damage. Bomber is out. He's out of siege tanks. He's only got a couple left.
That was actually really huge for Polt. It really put him back into this game. It looks like he lost about 12 SCVs, though. A total of 17 throughout the whole entire game, but he does force Bomber to pull back. He saved his command center as well, so potentially he'll be all right. But still, man, that was such a weird engagement. I don't know how Polt does it, though. Like, I just went straight loss of that. That's such man mode.
Well, that's the strength that we saw in Ohana, and if Polt can do that again, if he can replicate the success he had with sniping siege tanks, you know, yes, Bomber has mech this time around, but that just makes siege tanks all the more important. And if Polt can pull moves like that off a couple of more times, he's going to find himself in the lead all of a sudden.
Well, look at the macro here from Bomber, kind of off the charts. Already has 6 more siege tanks starting to pop up here outside of this third. He's got another command center now being created as well. He has a 5th as 6. He's got 3 more command centers actually in production. 1 has finished up and floating down to that 4th. So economy's gonna be booming for him very soon. I expect him to sit back for about a minute at the most, and then from there he can really starting to exploit more pressure on his opponent. He's got +2 on the way, as well as going for vehicle weapons. So he's gonna be able to snipe Medivacs a little bit easier too.
Yeah, and like this is the strength we were seeing on Tomb Valley, Robin. I mean, his macro was out of control, but
it's insanely good.
Polt's going to try to put a stop to it right now. Siege tanks sieged up on this ramp here. Marines coming forward just a little bit. A huge siege tank. Actually, Polt has an equivalent number of siege tanks right now to the mech player Bomber. Let's just point that out. Now, the Vikings make a huge difference, but there's a Thor on the ground as well. So if they stack up, Polt's going to get a lot of bonus damage in.
He really will, and he can, of course, use that Thor to engage as well, move forward, siege up right afterward. It'll really take a lot of that damage and really force Bomber to make sure that he's focusing and siege tanks in the engagement. And he's got 4 or 5 factories here, 4. 3 of them actually creating siege tanks, and 2 of them actually creating Hellions. So he's going to be okay in the next 30 seconds, but again, this is very intense for him. I'm really wondering if Polt's going to choose to move forward. I think he may have a chance. He's got a nice amount of units down here in the bottom right corner. Oh, but it looks like Bomber's going to be the engager here. Moving forward with his Hellions versus Vikings to snipe the medevacs right away. The Thor is actually helping out a lot in terms of taking that siege tank damage. It didn't do much to Polt, and it looks like Polt does a lot of damage to Bomber. Bomber is retreating once again after losing all his siege tanks.
Polt with a phenomenal engagement there, Robin, cleaning up a lot of Bomber's siege tanks once again. If we look at this count, it is 10-8 right now. Bomber almost needs at this point to shifting into Starport and Battlecruiser would not be a bad idea. We see him researching. He just finished ship weapons level 1 because he's behind on siege tanks. He's making more. He's making 3 compared to the 2 of Polt, but he's got less siege tanks than the bio player. That is never good for a player going back. Bomber gonna be losing some more siege tanks right now as Polt swings forward. He loses a lot of his bio, but look at the supply guys. Suddenly we're only separated by about 15.
These 3-2 Marines and Marauders destroy siege tanks so darn fast, and it looks like they will go down immediately. Zanaga has been covered as well, and you know what? He's going to pull back with actually a few more units and a couple of medevacs. He's moving forward, slowly moving siege tanks into this range, and it's really important for Bomber to keep a hold of this base. He can't lose it, or it's going to be very, very harmful to his economy.
You're absolutely right, and he cannot afford to have harm to his economy.
Gosh,
it's 11-8. Siege tanks falling for Bomber over and over here, guys. 11-6 siege tanks. Polt, the bio player, with nearly double the amount of tanks of his mech opponent.
It looks like he finally has sniped the medevac, so Bomber finally bringing his Vikings and completely getting rid of them. It's going to make it a little bit harder for Polt to move forward with the Marine Marauder Force, but it hasn't been enough already. He's forcing him to lift the orbital. It will have to retreat from that area, and with 2 more medevacs finally joining in, Polt's still moving forward. He's behind and supply and still makes the most amazing engagements. My hand's just up in this area for now because I'm so perplexed by how he's doing it. He's going to keep moving forward once again.
Look at the resources lost. It was 6,000 to 2,000 earlier. Bomber has now lost almost 1,000 more than his opponent, Polt.
Polt sieging up, now knocking at the third base of Bomber. Bomber trying his best to just hold it. And it looks like he can't. He's very frightened at the moment. I would actually recommend taking a few Hellions and going for a counterattack because he can't fully engage for some reason because somehow he always loses.
So many Vikings here, Robin.
Oh my gosh, the natural ramp.
Says, I will scan. Here come the Marines and Marauders. And Polt is going to be forced back by a few Hellions, actually. But wow, Polt with an incredible comeback right now. He's still down on supply, but he is in complete control of map and game.
Polt actually has a huge chance to go into the main and potentially do a drop if he wanted to load it up. There's only 1 missile turret there for in terms of defense, and everything's kind of stuck at this natural/third to defend for Bomber, and he's going to go ahead and repair his SCVs with this Planetary Fortress, but it's still going down in HP with the Marauder joining in as well. There's too much DPS. He's not even repairing. He responds too late, and he loses the 3rd Planetary Fortress. SCV's going down as well. Polt moving forward, very close to taking a supply lead once again, only down by 14. It looks like 169 to 151 at the moment, and he actually scattered the Planetary Fortress in the bottom right corner as well. He knows everything that Bomber's doing.
He does. Let's point out, though, Robin, the games that Bomber has been winning when it's gone 1-1, he has no business winning versus Simple, versus DRG, versus Creator. These are incredible sets that Bomber's been able to pull off. Phenomenal wins in Game 3 where it looked like he was going to lose, and he is still up by a lot in supply. So Bomber's still completely in this, folks. By no means has Polt run away. In fact, he's got 3 command centers in his base. One's hovering out to this top left, and he's still got another 2 in his natural as well.
His macro is just destroying right now. He only has 52 SCVs, which means he has about 130 supply in terms of army. He's moving out in the middle of the map here, going to try to kill it as much for a reason. Actually going to try and engage here. I think he gets a siege a little bit later here. He's going to go ahead and engage. Siege tanks have been landing some nice shots here, but we do have 2-0 for Polt. He actually does a lot of damage. He takes more siege tanks than Bomber. He takes a supply lead for the first time in the game, 164 to 160. And it looks like from here we're going to have a bit of a standoff, but we do have a flank happening from the back right corner with these Hellions. Is Bomber going to go for it?
Polt did get the supply lead, Robin. That's a fantastic thing to point out because he has been fighting this entire time while down in supply, and he's been making things happen. Hellions taking a lot of damage and getting exposed as they go for the run by here. Marines and Marauders, though, for Polt, there's no tanks here, Robin.
This is going to be quite painful. So many SCVs falling right away. The Hellions can't even engage with this thing float on contact. The SCVs just doing their best to hold off. Siege tanks do finally show up, and that will force Polt to pull back. But look at the supply now, 152 to 128. Suddenly it's a reversal here. We've had Polt down about 30 to 40 supply each engagement, and now he's ahead 30 supply. Fantastic play here from Polt. He's going to go ahead and keep moving forward with economy. He's got that 4th established. He's going to sit outside of his 3rd for a little bit because it looks like Bomber wants to put aggression on because that's the only thing he can really do. He has to do some kind of damage.
Yeah, he does. I mean, somehow, with less supply, with inferior upgrades, Polt has whittled down the supply of Bomber from being up by 40 to down by 38.
He's now down 57 to 33 as well. No more economy really for Bomber. That macro is fantastic, but if you don't have the money for it, it's not going to be coming from anywhere. Bomber is going to try and just hold this third out here in the top left corner. He's going to try and spread out his units, but if it's been anything that we've learned from this game, Polt's really good at maneuvering around the map and going in directions that Bomber's not at. And if he does catch him off guard with a little bit, with a few units, he will destroy that army immediately.
You're absolutely right. So Bomber needs to maybe play to his strengths of aggression here that we've seen out of him in past sets where he's managed to take games. He's also really used to playing from an economic disadvantage, which he's at right now, but at a little bit of an army advantage, which he doesn't so much have. And once again, siege tanks all alone for Bomber. Polt gonna pick off another 2.
And he can actually move to the natural here. There's only one siege tank, and he's going to do it. He's charging forward right away. Marauder's seeing the charge. They're going to kill that siege tank right away. These orbitals in trouble, very low on HP. He can get 2 orbitals here at once. There we go. One does fall. A second one falling as well. Still moving forward. Hellion dies at the same time. This natural, I don't know if he can hold it. He's still moving forward here, going straight to the main. There's a few Hellions at one siege tank. The siege tank dies before he gets a shot off. And we have Polt moving up the ramp. Supply plummeting here for Bomber. The medevac's helping out a lot, but we do have Hellions flanking from the side, and it looks like it will hold this. But again, what is the state Bomber's in? As that, it looks like a third's in trouble as well.
Robin Bomber is on the precipice of 100 supply right now, and if he falls below that, I don't know that he's going to be able to come back. It's just going to be too much. Polt has been subsequently, now it is a 60 supply difference between these two.
Polt's about to be on 3-3 as well. It gets worse from here. He can keep moving forward. He's going to be a little bit more stronger, and he's actually got an economy that is just booming. Look into his main and natural. Production is off the charts here. He's got a lot of resources actually kind of floating. I wouldn't mind seeing a few more racks, but nonetheless, just constantly churning out units. He's got a lot of reactors on top of these racks, so tons of Marines following up, and he's actually circumventing down to the bottom right corner. He wants to come in his natural again, it looks like, and potentially kill off a few more production facilities.
We'll see if he can do it. It looks like Bomber has, where did all those command centers go? Are they dead right now?
Yeah, 2 of them actually died in the last game. Oh my
goodness,
so
Bomber.
He had a total of 7 on the field at once, and now it looks like we're down to 3, so he's had 4 killed off, and that is quite hurtful. He's going to go ahead and move forward, and he actually has siege tanks on this bottom left corner, so Bomber can't come in and defend, and Bomber's forced to GG somehow, some way. By being completely cost-efficient, Polt takes the series 2-1. Guys, he deserves a round of applause for that. That was
look at that
such good play
on Polt's face right now, Robin. And Bomber, he actually looks okay. You know, he knows he played a good game there. It was just in the end, Polt just played a godlike game. Oh man, I mean, Bomber, he played so well, but Polt just.
So cost efficient.
That is a game where you have to go back, you have to look at the moments where Polt had all these small interactions. It was just like Ohana, running forward, picking off small amounts of siege tanks, and suddenly Polt, with a huge advantage in that regard, just decimated Bomber.
And the problem is, after the mid-game hit, it really seemed like Bomber didn't want to ever do any counterattacks. He has so many chances to bring his Hellions around, come out, and take an economy out for Polt. But Polt officially was never, ever really touched, ever, in the series when it came to his SCVs. And that's huge. I mean, you need to take out the economy if you're going for back. Hellions are such a great unit. But guys, it looks like we're going to run into a break really quick. We're going to run some commercials, and we'll be right back.
Before we do, I give it up for Polt, guys. He's going to be the Terran moving on to face against the ZerGs.